Hi folks, and welcome to the Filmbummel channel. Welcome to the forest. It's pretty lovely outside here, and temperature is not too high, and I love being out today. And since I think you are all in want of more sharp and pointy objects, I think I would show you a knife I made some time ago in the smithy of another friend of mine, where I worked with kids forging on children's birthday parties and with groups, more of touristic attraction than anything, but it was a nice time, and sadly Volker has passed some years ago, and I still remember him. He was a genuinely great guy, and was someone who was really a really kind person, and with a history of really life had beaten the shit out of him, and but fond memories. And when I was done with forging with kids and stuff, which was fun to do, I could always use the smithy, and I made some Damascus knives there, and this is one of them, and I think it might be interesting to you, because this is actually steel that I found over there in the woods, and the specialty, you can see it's a pretty low layer Damascus, and the specialty with this blade is that it is made from crucible steel entirely, and one of those had a pretty low carbon content. I think 0.5 was 0.6, and the other had a had a carbon content that broke me, and it was just, I was fortunately I had found a larger quantity of the latter, because I messed up at first, and it just crumbled under the hammer, and that was when I was treating it like wood, it worked out okay, and I got a little piece that I could work with, and I was thinking about trying to weld those two into each other, because I wasn't trusting the properties of the high carbon steel too much, so I wanted some lower carbon to give it a little bit more resilience, and I estimate the high carbon content at, well, if it crumbles under the hammer, there's a high probability that it has from 1.2 to 1.5 or even more carbon content. When I found it, it was rusted, which is a sign that it isn't foundry steel, but crucible, and which also hints of a certain probability that you can forge it. And I was processing it with a wooden mallet for several days before it even started to move properly. So there's a lot of work in this little thingy, and hence the fact that it is a pretty low layer. I think it's 40 layers or something, even just 20 or something, which isn't too bad, because if you look at the pattern, there is still a bit of the crucible pattern showing, and this is what I really love about that knife. Also, it's given that it was made entirely from junk steel, it does have some great using capabilities, and I actually do. At a time, I was using it all the time for slate, and it's none too shabby for that. You already know this piece of hazel. Also, I really do like the grind, which is not self-praise, but it's it's a high convex to almost zero, and it really works with making really fine shavings. And also, this is what I said in the last video. This is a pretty great design of the handle, which is more of a Scandinavian style, and I also the handle this is U, and this is reindeer antler, and a little bit of a copper fitting from the hardware store. This is just a brass piece, and the U is actually still from the house in the forest where I grew up, so it also conveys meaning to me, because back in the day my grandmother used to say, and she was from Prussia, and well, I don't know exactly, because she never talked about that, but I think she still worshipped the old Prussian gods in secrecy, which is a good thing or a bad thing, and I don't want to comment on that. And my fondness of stories certainly derives from what my grandmother told me about this and that and everything. She could recite the Nibelungen. You know that the Nibelungen lay from memory, the entire one, and it's it never failed to amaze me back then, and still does, because that's such a book. And obviously she didn't quote it in its entirety every time, but she was always, when she was always in the garden, and when she was then and I was trying to help as a little kid, she would always tell some stories of old ancient heroes and tales of yore, and this is something that and she always, my father was always like, let's fell that tree because it's taking out all the light, and she was very strict about that. She was always like, no, that's the tree that protects the house, and it stands beside the house, and it wards off evil from the house. And well, I don't know, but well, it was really a time of safety, and well, it was my childhood. Those were different days then, we get today. So maybe that's a factor too. But well, there was no harm coming towards our house, and maybe it had something to do with a tree and us caring for the tree. Maybe it was just like us. Well, we were caring for the tree, and that was actually not necessarily something for superstition, but it was a mindset that we had, and we cared for each other. We cared for the tree. We cared for the animals coming visiting, and so maybe that, and we were friendly to our fellow human beings, and maybe that was one of the reasons that we didn't get molested. Maybe you can see it that way. It's not necessarily something superstitious or something, but maybe that's simple. And but long story short, this is one of the reasons I really like this U. And even if it's got its imperfections, you see, there's a little hole in there which was grown in, and I left it there. And as I personally find the grain coming out with the patina pretty lovely, and it's sort of a feeling of reminiscence of these times where, well, honestly, life has been pretty much simpler. Even if, well, it wasn't exactly an easy life, and everyone who knows homesteading in some sort of forest or the other can relate to that, because it's a pretty hard life. But on the other hand, you could cope with that. It was something, it made sense. And if I may be honest, a lot of the things that we do nowadays do not make sense to me at the moment. And sometimes I really miss these days, and it isn't easy turning over an acre of potato field soil, and with by hand. And I was a kid back then, and look at that. So it wasn't that it was just some romantic reminiscence, and you know me, I tend to see knives and artifacts in that way. There are always memories involved, and I find these stories and memories sometimes at least as important as the technical data. And you know, I believe that, and if you are from an indigenous culture, please feel free to correct me if I am wrong, but I have the notion that people from indigenous cultures tend to think along similar lines, because well, it's not just that it's just the bare bare technicals and the bare things have to work. All right, it's not that there is a lot of superstition involved, and I think that that is far more common sense than what we white people often think. We think it's always flash, boom, bang, and there's a spirit appearing, and there is ultimate power involved all the time. It's and this is the reason we miss situations like some water rats farting, and this is why I share videos like that, where our little relatives are living their lives. They are important, no less, for that. They are not. They are spiritual beings, and they are something that's that really matters for my spirituality, and I can't talk for you, and it's nigh on impossible on talking about what this actually is, and this is the problem with white culture. We always need to need something that's so big, and it doesn't it isn't enough that to me there shared that video with the water rat farting, and it's not important that the water rat farts. It's not the spiritual enlightenment or something. But thing is that it simply exists is enough, and stuff like that. And that tree beside our house wasn't doing anything but being a tree, and that was enough. It wasn't something that anyone could wish for more, like something going constantly flash, boom, bang, and you are God's chosen people, and what have you. Because you don't need to. It's we are all chosen, and we are all really, really privileged to live on this beautiful planet. And you know, it's a privilege that is unique to the universe, or at least our galaxy, our known galaxy. And do you still want more? And that's the problem with white culture. We always want more and more and more, and it isn't enough that there are wonderful little beings beside ourselves. We need at least some space aliens that will bring us some powerful technology, and we are not interested in the space aliens. We are interested in either colonizing them or taking their technology and in order to enslave people more efficiently. We don't want a better life. We want to make everything worse for everyone, and that's a really sorry truth. And I know that's not nice to say, not a nice thing to say, and the thing is, not. It doesn't feel good for me either, and stuff. But you know, I believe that indigenous cultures do have a few things, a few possessions, and I know that I recently had a discussion, and everyone was getting mad at me because yeah, old commie and what have you. I'm not a commie, and I'm not a communist, because you know, there are some things that are pretty difficult truths to acknowledge, and one of them is that all governance is violence. By definition, all administration is an act of violence. It has to be, because, well, it's something that's alright. You can ask everyone about his or her wishes and stuff, and but there's a time and a place for asking, and a time and place for stopping to ask. And the thing is, and this is why I believe in democracy, is that you have to agree first. And if you agree on certain acts of violence and agree upon rules when exactly this sort of violence is legitimate and when it's not, that's democracy, and then there can be no or there's less chance that it gets abused. We can see this at the moment worldwide, that it is still, and that's it's not a good thing. And people just violently take what they think they have a right to take, because might makes right, and that's not going to happen. It's and that's also well, illogical, because might doesn't make anything right if it isn't right in the first, and so it's still illegitimate if you take it by force. And so, and you know, what I wanted to say is this is white culture, and white culture is inherently violent. And so, you know, we always estimate beings, be it a space alien or a water rat or a you, or according to some utilitarian notion that everything is just here for a purpose that has to serve us. And well, you can see I can make a needle from some random hazel, and that hazel, well, it could also house some insects, and the rest of it I will maybe leave be for it in order to rot away and to nourish the forest. And you know, something we need to keep in mind. It's okay to make a needle from that hazel, as long as I don't take everything. And this will give out for a lot more needles if I want to. And I think these possessions are a needle like that or that knife. They are more valuable because they convey meaning, because they tell a story. And even if maybe another slöjd knife would be better or what have you, and this works for me. You have seen what I've done with it, and it's not the best needle there is, it's not the best knife there is, and but it's mine, and it's exclusively and absolutely mine. And this is one of the reasons why I find it hard to part with stuff I made. And I think a lot of you guys might be able to relate, because I know a lot of makers are that way. It's hard to let go sometimes, because it's something you put some energy into it, and you put a story into it, and that story belongs to you, and it's something that grows with time. It's not. This is the difference to a knife I have bought. There is a story in the first. In this case, a huge one, and a big one, and even if I buy a slöjd knife, this will grow with time. The story will grow with time. I will remember that time when I sat beside a creek whittling me a little gnome or a nail-binding needle, and also the nail-binding needle will grow with time, because when I use it, I'm sitting beside a creek, and I'm whittling something, and I'm nail-binding away or something like that, and there's some there's some water rat coming over, farting all over the place, and this nail-binding needle will grow with time. The story will grow with time. I think this is what our culture is looking for, and this is why we buy so much stuff, because it's insatiable. Because you want a story, you want something that will outlast you, that will be bigger than life and death, but there's no such thing. We live and we die, and that's all there is, and all there needs to be, because we are already immortal, and it's we don't need to become immortal. We are, and you don't need some metaphysics to explain it, because the second law of thermodynamics is enough to explain that. Energy in a universe is maintained. The total amount of energy in the universe is maintained, and you can save information to energy, and the fact that you can see what I am talking about now is testament to that. That's proof of that, because I'm talking to that box. The box transmits it into some into energy, and into what I don't even know, frequencies or something, and sends it all over to your box, and you can see what I'm talking about, or hear what I'm talking about, if it's more your piece of cake, just listening. And so we struggle and we strive and we get mad at each other and what have you, but the total amount of energy and the total amount of information in the universe, well, even the struggles and the religious wars and greed and jealousy and all that ruck is going on at the moment is also part of the total amount of information in the universe, but it's just information. And because there's so much information, it's compared to the total amount of information, it becomes utterly irrelevant. Because there are also informations like, well, water rat farting, or a blossom opening or closing or wilting, and people being born and people die, and it's a little bit like a mycelium. And in autumn it's fruiting, and then the fruit are wilting, and but the mycelium isn't affected about that. From that, and I think that's enough superstition for now. I think I'm just finishing my now knitting needle with my trusty Victorinox, and that's a little bit hilarious because I was ranting on endlessly about this and that and my knife and the story it poses, and I use the spine of my saw to clean it up. I could also use the blade, but I want to preserve my the sharpness of the edge, and this tends to be pretty rough on the edge, and so I have my, and the spine of the knife isn't sharpened because I rounded it proactively. Oh, what's there? Huh? Someone visiting? Ah, well, you know. But well, no harm done. This is what I want to say is with that is that there are limits to a story too, and it's nothing that's so that you must take so serious. It's just like everyone likes, and as everyone would be suited for, or well, it wasn't even English, but you know what I mean. Is what I say? If you this one here is really cool to have on me, and but if I'm honest, I would have been a lot faster with a Victorinox, but not with the same style. So and you need even these metaphysical things and spiritual things, we need to take with a grain of salt. And this is what I want to say with reverting to the Vic. It's not something that you need to follow through to the end, even if it's crap. I could do this with the blade, and I will do it now. But what this will do is it will, now it shaves, and but if you do have if I do have Vic on me, this is something that an indigenous person, a First Nations person, Sami, taught me, which was really enlightening. We were having a chat, and I was joking. So you still use your reindeer sleds and you go by foot and what have you, and because this is what you need to be a romantic Sami. And he was like, "I'm not mad, man. I just got my quad and my motor sled and I got a herd of reindeer to be taken care of. I can't afford to be out there for a month in order just to get where the reindeers are. We're living in modern times. That sucks," which he also said, but opened my eyes, because I have too had these romantic notions. Maybe not as much as the next guy, because I already put some effort into actually learning what it was all about. But and this is something that no indigenous person worth his brain would ever make things harder for himself just to uphold some principle. They can't afford to, and they will not, because they would rather preserve the energy. And this is something that I also learned for being out in the woods. And I'm not talking about survival again, because I don't like the word survival, and this and that. And it's about preserving energy. And if you are, this is why it's a nice skill doing some fire drill and bow drill. It's something I really want to learn, and I very, very much respect if anyone knows how to. It's not that I'm demeaning that, but in a survival situation, that's just fussing about. That's not, don't fuss about. You want to save your ass. Keep moving. Is what I want to say. And we as whites, in white culture, we tend to put a lot of effort into upholding stuff just out of principle, and that's not a good thing. And on the other hand, if you what we also do is then we toss out the child with the bath, that we as we say in Germany. I don't know if it's a saying in English too. It's we just go over the top and throw out the stories with everything, and everything's utility, and everything's has to be abused and demeaned, and everything is just rational, and that's also not correct. There's a middle road between knowing when to take the spine of your Victorinoxor and when to carry something like this, and with a story, with something that keeps you sane, and that's good for your morale, that's good for that conveys meaning to you in a world that is bereft of meaning. And it is bereft of meaning because we, as I said, for utilitarian reasons, we toss out everything, and the stories are just make-believe. That's not true. Mythology is not make-believe. Mythology is not a lie. Mythology is something. It's an alternative way of explaining the world. And myth and logic must go hand in hand. That's why it is called mythology. So you need a lot of knowledge, but you also need love. And if you have knowledge and you have love, there will be wisdom. And that I hope that I can one day achieve by loving knowledge. And this is, by the way, also what the translation of philosophia, of philosophy, means. It means the love for wisdom. In that case, Sophia is wisdom, the love for wisdom. And as I said, if you want to learn, if you love learning, if you love to learn something new, if you love the truth, the real truth, and if you are not believing everything you think, then you will become wise. Not because everything would be nice or okay or pretty, and truth is sometimes really ugly, and it hurts. It hurts being wrong, and but that's something, and I think this is part of my journey. Actually, it's not simply about the knife. I own a shitload of knives. I own so many knives that I'm drowning in fucking knives, and all of them tell a story to me, and all of them convey meaning to me. And I made a video about that little fellow here, and it also conveys meaning to me, and this one and that one, and the story is still growing, and this is what I want to say. If I own a lot of Moras. I love Moras, and but they are also pretty utilitarian. And what's my language? So they are pretty low, and I'm not trying to demean that. That's also a good thing. They are not loaded with stories. It's up to you to create that story entirely. And because there is, well, as a piece of steel, as a rubber handle or plastic handle and plastic sheath, and you use it, and it develops some patina, and you experience something nice or something less agreeable or what have you, but you make it true, and maybe you lose the tip. That's part of the process of everything. It's if you get some shoes, maybe there will be a hole in it one day too. So it's not something we are always crying, oh well, that's a liability, and we are getting a lawyer all the time and what have you if something isn't perfect. And well, I'm not perfect myself, and I know the secret of using a grindstone, and so it's part of the story. Maybe not an agreeable part of the story, but the story will grow. This is already loaded. It's up there because there's a real story, and maybe it's not as utilitarian as the Mora because it is made from a pretty makeshift steel in a pretty makeshift manner. So if you want to really carve for hours on end, well, bring out that Mora, because I don't know. I was a little bit reluctant to use it that hard. You've seen me split wood with it, and I already also did some battening, and I think it will turn out alright, since the tang isn't also the most fragile too. It's like so, and so. But what I want to say, I think it comes across. It's a quest for the story, and what I really hope is that you find your stories, that you find something that conveys meaning to you, and you find some time out in the woods, maybe craft yourself something, just enjoy the sun or the weather, and have a sip of tea or what have you. And because it might not look important, but it is. And I really would like that you reach out to indigenous people worldwide in a friendly manner and with humility, because we need humility. This is what white culture really, really needs. It's not that we are God's chosen people. We all are. Everyone on this planet, because it's the privilege to be here. It's a privilege to have an inhabitable planet, and this is something that never fails to amaze me, that we don't acknowledge that. We know it was all right at the beginning of industrialization to waste everything, because we didn't know. We thought the moon was made of cheese, and and now we know the moon isn't made from cheese, and we live on this blue jewel of a planet, and we have the photographs, we have the evidence, we have the measurements, we know everything about this planet, and we know that it is a ball of rock hurling headlong through a fucking lot of nothing at all. And so we are all God's chosen people, because it's a privilege to be here, to be alive, to witness this life, which is sometimes crappy, which is sometimes shit, and gets the better part of you and tucks your beard and kicks you around and beats you and bruises you and batters you. But it's still better than being in the void. And if you are alive, the void is also the source of all creativity, because it's also carte blanche. So that's not as easy as it sounds. So, but what I want to say is there is a stunning similarity between what modern science says and what indigenous people worldwide have said for millennia. And well, if I assumed that this knife, when I let it drop, that it will go up, which it doesn't, because gravity, and I was wrong, I need to bend down like so and take it up again, because I was wrong. And if I don't acknowledge that I was wrong, I can't pick it up again, and it will be lost forever, because I'm looking up there. And that's insane. That's madness. But this is exactly what we are doing at the moment. And because out of principle, we are insisting on some man in the sky with a long beard and who jealously looks into your sleeping chamber. That's the creator of the fucking universe, and we do not even understand our galaxy. We do not even fully grasp what a sun is, and we are hurling rockets at each other because one party calls it that way and one party calls it this way. All the while the northern lights are dancing, or there are reflective clouds, and there are bumblebees dropping asleep in a flower, and there are water rats farting all over the place, there are roe deer, there are so many awesome things to see, and I really wish that you can find something small, really small and beautiful, and let it inspire you, and connect with people, real people, not people on the internet. Even me. Folks, I'm a concept. I'm not a real human being. I try to be as authentic as possible, but I'm a concept myself. I also want to be loved or respected or accepted or part of a community, and I want to be cool. I want to show you something great, and I want that you love how I'm standing in the woods carving myself some nail bending needle, or doing some nail bending, which is pretty dubious because I'm not good at it at the moment, but I'm practicing. And this is what I find important, that you keep that in mind, but that you connect with life and with the planet and with people and with the animals, with the insects, with everything, with flowers and stuff, because it is an awesome life, even if it's really, really crappy at times. And there's still hope. It's not that everything is lost. Just get out here and have a sip of tea and you will notice. Is what I want to say. And I'm struggling myself. It's not that I know it all. It's just what I want to say, and I wish you, from my heart, I wish you that you can stay sane and healthy. And this is why I'm not tiring to say that, because it really matters. And every one of you matter. We need every one of you, as neurodiverse as you might be, as even a narcissist. We need even the narcissists and the psychopaths. And no one should be alone in the future, because we are faced with what for the Neanderthals was the Ice Age. And it's not an ice age, it's global warming, and there are a lot of catastrophes, and we need to stick together. And this is what I want to say. Stay sane and healthy. This is more important than ever. That said, I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope there was this rant. Obviously there was a little bit of anarchism and there was a little bit of information. I really hit it well, I think. But it is there, I promise. And well, I hope you take good care, and I really hope to be able to see you soon. Bye.